on December 3rd, 2018, a girl named by the name of Mackenzie Adams was found dead in her room. She was a 9-year-old attending in the 4th grade, and her suicide was soon later found out to be caused by bullying, specifically racist bullying. And what's so significant is not the fact that this occurred, it's the fact that many other similar situations have been happening over the past few years. And it's all because of the simple aspect that we've all experienced in our lives. And that aspect is bullying. Bullying has been an ongoing activity that is mostly taking place in school and that has been going on for decades, essentially. And it's incredibly significant, not just because it's so usual, but because of how normalized and how dangerous it actually really is. And that mention of Mackenzie Adams was brought by the International Business Times News on the same date, December 3rd, 2018. And so, since we know that bullying is incredibly dangerous, there is absolutely one thing that we as people and we as a state or federal level government must do is to raise awareness on bullying and to help eliminate it and to help prevent more situations like these from occurring. And so with this in hand and with this in mind, we can go ahead and talk about how bullying can affect these people and why it's so dangerous and why the many problems that are linked with it. We can go into how the many causes and to the many reasons why bullying is still a thing to this day. And we can go on to how we can try to solve this epidemic and try to really secure our youth's future. So primarily, of course, I want to go through the reasons why bullying is so bad and to know why it's pretty much a thing we need to really look into. So according to the U.S. Fed News from January 2020, people who are bullied are three times more likely to be lonely and more than 2 times more likely to miss school. And these two effects can lead to a domino effect, which can lead to other problems such as missing out on school, such as having less friends, less social activity, and just overall a more less quality of life. And it's just not necessarily good for them by any degree. And that's just one simple problem with bullying. It affects everyone as a result of bullying. But another problem brought by the State News Service in December 2019 was that because of bullying, it can increase the risk of anxiety, depression, substance abuse, and other effects. And specifically, why I brought this article into mention, because not only is it linked with the domino effect, but because it also mentions the fact that it's actually more, it affects more on the minorities, such as people who belong to the LGBTQ+, to those who are essentially Hispanic, to those who are Black, and to any other group who are essentially not white, or to those who are low income. And so those groups are really affected by bullying because it also takes on a racist stance, it also takes on a homophobic, also takes on a sexist stance. So essentially those minorities are affected really heavily by this. And that's why we really need to address this, because it really affects minorities and affects everyone in general. But but the fact that it's just a happening for everyone is incredibly sad to see, really, and it must be addressed immediately. And so, with this in mind, with all the problems, how can we just let this slide? How can we have this ongoing for such a long time? Well, according to the ENN News and Eagle from August 2018, nationally, according to a survey taken from across the country, 70.6% of 12 to 17-year-olds have actually witnessed bullying, but an incredibly small minority actually report that. And so what this means is that a lot of people are actually seeing this. A lot of people are seeing this bullying, and like I said, a very small number of people actually do something about that. A lot of people are, how we say in this sort of perspective, a bystander. People are just looking out and just seeing this without doing necessarily anything. And that behavior really affects the prolongment or the longevity of bullying that we've had for decades. That's the reason why it's still an ongoing issue. It's because simply nobody's not really doing anything about it. People are just letting it slide and all that. Another issue, according to Youth Violence and Juvenile Justice, which is a group that surrounded this topic from January 2019, is they said that prior to the 1990s, bullying was seen as benign. It was normalized essentially, and that's what I mentioned before. That bullying, especially right now, has actually been normalized, and some behaviors of that have been thought of as okay, or it's natural to happen, or it's okay for that to really occur in schools. When really, these sorts of behaviors of teasing and borderline, essentially bullying, it's not okay, and people think it's okay, and that's another problem with it. And so it's just that people think it's all right for people to tease and make fun of and bully certain people, even when they say it's not as serious as they say it is, because it is. Bullying takes on many forms, no matter how small or no matter the size. It's still bullying, and so still must be addressed. And to address that, we get into solutions. And so to the solutions to this, there are two main solutions that I found. One was from Marketers Media News Hub, which was pretty much changing the way we teach preschoolers. And it's not necessarily changing, but really focusing on three social aspects that they try to assert onto preschool children, which was empathy, assertiveness, and problem solving. And this report from this article said that those three social skills are incredibly vital to prevent bullying, because people who lack empathy or don't understand empathy are going to continue bullying them because they don't understand their perspective. Essentially, the rule: don't do to people what you don't want to do to yourself. Essentially, treat the way you want to be treated. And those people who don't understand empathy don't understand that logic, and so that's what leads to bullying to even pop up in the first place. So if we treat that part, we treat that aspect of preschool children, we can have a decreased number of perpetrators of bullying. And another solution that we've had that I found popped up was from the U.S. News in February 2018, was that they suggested a framework and sort of a system where we could have a way to really get counselors involved. And so how this works is that sorry. So how this works is that we have the victims of bullying, and we have the bullies to come one-on-one with counselors and to really talk this out. And that requires people to really get up there and to report on bullies, which is one required aspect, is to raise awareness on calling out this behavior. And then two, this framework then leads to these people who are involved with the situation to talk with counselors and to prevent such behaviors from happening. So essentially sort of like a group talk with counselor, bully, and the victim, and where they all talk it out and essentially try to resolve with each other and to have a more friendly interaction with them. And so essentially just promotes friendly interactions and to make sure that the bullies understand what they're doing and that the victims understand what the bullies are doing, and to make sure that these behaviors don't erupt again. So yeah, so those are pretty much the solutions to bullying. And of course, if we had these solutions in place, Mackenzie Adams could still be here with us, but sadly, that's not reality. And to prevent such realities, we really need to take a step forward into really seeing what we can do to prevent such tragedies like that. Thank you.